Hi guys, Dawn H. Jones here. I am Managing Director of Hope Place HR, and our mission is to help you become HR wise. Now, today I want to talk to you about activating your policy protection. And in the work sense, the first step to activating your policy protection is to read the policy. Now, I understand that a lot of people don't like reading policies, and the most common reasons I've heard about this is that as to why people don't like reading their policies are they don't have the time, they're boring, or it's HR's job to read the policy. However, they're missing the point entirely, right? Because if they don't read the policy, what's happening is they're leaving their protection on the shelf or on the intranet, as the case may be. And the fact is that people who don't read their policies and their processes, well, they're leaving themselves unprotected, and particularly, and even more so rather, when they're facing formal HR processes. And that's a shame because there's a policy knowledge as a range of protection that's available to every employee if they choose to read it and embed it in their working lives. And we're just going to look at a few of those protections. So, policy knowledge is protective. So, if you read the policies and you embed them into your working life, you are more likely to have proactive protection. And if you make a mistake whilst working according to your organisation's policies, you're more likely to have reactive protection, right? Then there's prospective or future protection. Let me give you an example. So a manager may decide to refer an employee who has a long-term condition or a disability to occupational health for advice on reasonable adjustments, shall we say. And then once they get the advice back, the manager then implements it correctly and in a timely fashion. So that's an example of prospective or future protection. Now that said, proactive, reactive and prospective protection, they're all conditional upon you as an employee reading your organisation's policies and following them. Now, I've been talking about the importance of people reading HR policies and procedures for about 2 to 3 years now. And this time, I'm going to underline this point about policies being protective by looking at two findings from the National Health Service's Workforce Race Equality Standard Report. And in this year's report, there is 5 years worth of data. So let's hop in. Now, I want to start off by saying that the report highlights that there has been an increase in staff being appointed to senior management roles and also to trust boards, right? However, the two findings that I will be referring to make a bit more difficult reading. Well, they make difficult reading, full stop. The first finding is the rate at which white applicants are more likely to be appointed from shortlisting than BME applicants, and the rate at which BME staff are more likely to enter disciplinary processes than their white colleagues. Right? So let's look at the first of those findings. Now, white applicants were more likely to be appointed from shortlisting than BME staff. Okay, so in 2016, this looked like 1.57 times. In 2017, it went up to 1.60 times. And in 2018 and 2019, it fell. And it went slightly up in 2019, actually. And in 2020, the figure was 1.61. So in 2020, white applicants were 1.61 times more likely to be appointed from shortlisting than BME staff. Okay, I'd like you to hold that thought, all right? And move to the second finding. BME staff are more likely to enter disciplinary processes than their white counterparts. So in 2016, this figure was 1.57, and it's fallen in successive years to 1.16 in 2020. Now, I shared these findings recently with a group of NHS staff that I was training, and one of them said that the trust in where they work, the figure is actually 2.24 times. So in other words, staff where they work are more likely to enter the formal disciplinary processes 2.24 times than their white counterparts. Now, whether it's 1.16 or 2.24 times, either way, BME staff are still entering disciplinary processes at a higher rate than their white colleagues. So, let's hop back to the report. What actions does the report say are needed? Well, with respect to the relative likelihood of white applicants being appointed from shortlisting compared to BME applicants, the actions are: number one, development of BME talent in the employment pipeline; two, overhauling recruitment processes to ensure that the workforce reflects the diversity of the community. And with respect to the relative likelihood of BME staff entering the formal disciplinary processes compared to white staff, the actions are threefold. Number one, understanding the reasons for the reduction in disciplinary proceedings. Two, eliminating the ethnicity gaps in formal disciplinary processes. And number three, reporting on the outcomes of disciplinary action. Now, the extent to which these actions, or any of the other actions that are highlighted in the report will work and how long it will take to effect meaningful change is unclear. However, I do know this: HR policy knowledge is powerful and it's protective, and it's a gift that's available to you. HR policy knowledge is a powerful deterrent to disproportionate processes when employees choose to read and apply them correctly. All right? I'm going to say that again. HR policy knowledge is a powerful deterrent to disproportionate processes when employees choose to read and apply them correctly. And you know what? Policy knowledge gives you the confidence to know, right, what the policy says. It's great to have a trade union rep and someone accompanying you to formal meetings, and I'll always advocate for that and take all of the support that's available to you. But when you know that you know that you know, that's confidence. And policy knowledge empowers you to be able to challenge a process constructively because you'll know what it says, quite simply. So a constructive challenge may be, you may say to a manager or someone that's leading the process, Section 2.24 of the policy says X, Y, and Z, okay? The actions you have taken or propose to take do not appear to align to Section 2.24. Can you help me to understand why this is? And policy knowledge helps you to nip issues in the bud. You know, there are some things in life we don't need to go through. You know, so if we can nip issues in the bud, head them off constructively, all the better. And policy knowledge is a powerful tool. You know, all manner of foolishness can happen when employees do not activate their policy protection. And I'm going to be plain with you, you know. Yes, there are things that happen. Yes, there are things that are unfair. Clearly they are. But this is something that is within your gift to activate your policy knowledge as a protective mechanism, as a protective element. So, you know, if you don't partake of it, you know, you have to take responsibility for not doing that. But I am confident that you are going to hear this message and you are going to partake of your policy knowledge, your policy, the protective elements that's within policies. Because what you don't know can hurt you. So let's begin now to start reframing our thinking about policies, and let's change our narrative. You know, instead of saying that policies are boring, let's say that policy knowledge is protective. Let's start reading the policies so that we can partake of the comprehensive protections that are available within policies. Now, for the rest of this year, throughout this year, rather, I should say, I will be running policy and process awareness sessions. Now, I'm going to put the links below this video, as well as ways that you can keep in contact with me so that I can highlight training and development that's coming up from time to time. In the meantime, please, please, please activate your policy knowledge and do remember, be HR wise. Bye bye.